Hello everyone, welcome to GGRA30 Tutorial 5. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. This exercise is intended to provide an understanding of basic database queries that will be most useful to you in your use of GIS, and provide an understanding of QGIS layer joins and how to use those to combine tabular information from PostgreSQL to a geographic data layer in QGIS. For this tutorial exercise, a PostgreSQL database has been set up. The server, database, and login information you need to connect to the database and access the layers are listed below. Here are today's procedures. Open and examine the Database Manager SQL window. Query exercise. Create a QGIS query layer. Join query layer to the weather station layer. And finally, create a very simple map layout. Open a new QGIS project and connect to the PostgreSQL database provided for this exercise. Do not add any layers to your QGIS project just yet. Ensure that you select the option to also list tables with no geometry when creating the database connection. Select Database DB Manager to open the Database Manager window. Navigate to the database tree and find the database for this exercise. Click triangle to open it. Ensure that you can see the weather stations and daily weather observations tables. Click on the button for the SQL window. In the Secure panel, the top window is used to type and secure query. You can also open the Secure Query Builder by pressing the Secure button. In Secure Query Builder, you can add your formulas, and we will talk about them in details later. The final part of this exercise will be to use QGIS database and layer tools to join a summary of the daily weather records to the stations to produce a very basic map showing the joined information. But first, we will work through some simpler exercises to gradually produce more complicated queries. For each of the cases shown below, you may either type the queries directly into the Secure Query panel, or you may use the DB Manager's Secure Query Builder interface to create the query and then return to the Secure Query panel to run the query. Here are some examples of listing table information. First, we write a secure query that lists the station ID and name fields from the weather stations table. Then, we list all fields from the weather stations table. And next, we list some of the fields from the daily weather observations table. We can also filter in table information to show only some records. Line 4 to line 7 are two examples of filtering table information. We are now going to try inner joining tables by using listing multiple tables in from. Here are two examples of writing a secure query that joining the fields from two datasets. We can say that the new dataset has name from the weather stations and other fields from daily weather observations table. Now I'm going to group records by field value categories. We can see the table are grouped by year and station ID. And we can use the query to show only the average high temperatures for 2009. After you have worked with the QGIS DB Manager and its secure panel to understand a database and to develop queries that work for the tables in that database, you may want to convert the result from a query into a temporary QGIS table so that you can join that into another layer to create a map. Modify the last query above and change the year to 2012. The average temperature should be in a reasonable range in the Toronto area considering all seasons. Place a check mark in the box labeled Load as New Layer. Select columns with unique values and use Station ID. Uncheck Geometry column. Click on Load. You can now see a new layer in the Layers list. Right-click on Properties or Open Attribute Table to see its properties. We will now join the created query layer to the weather stations layer so that we can produce a simple map of the query result. Open Properties window, select the Joins tab, click on the Add symbol at the bottom of the dialog, and Join layer is query layer, join field is station ID, target field is station ID, click OK. And open the weather stations attribute table again, and you should now see that the query layer fields have been added to the weather stations layer. Notice that the join has retained all records regardless of whether or not the query layer contained a station ID for the weather station. Finally, you can create a very simple map layout. First, label the weather stations with their average high temperatures for 2012. Create a print composer and export this very simple map as a PDF file. It will contain only a set of weather station points and their labels without a base map layer. That is fine. That's all for today's tutorial. Thank you.